Hello, hello, come on in. Welcome to our Monday night calls for May. Oh my word, can you believe it? I am so excited it's May. I hope you guys are too. Come on in. Putting all the clarity on because I'm feeling a little scattered today. We just got finished collecting a bee swarm, or one of our hives swarmed for the third time. So just kind of.
What does that mean?
Okay. Oh, you did ask that, Denise. I need to clarify that. So I did a little bit tonight in my stories, but so when a beehive, when your colony of bees outgrows its boxes, and there's no more room for brood, so baby, the larva and the baby bees, it will just up and it'll start creating queen cells, and then it'll split and it'll go somewhere else. So it splits itself. So having bees, you have to take care of them like in the right amount of time, because they don't wait for you. And so we did not do that. And so they split. This was the third time they did this. And we're like scrambling. So yeah, it was entertaining. It was fun. But that's what that means. So yeah, come on in. Ooh, small class tonight. Okay, I know a lot of people were like interested in this class, and they're like, is it going to be recorded? Because now I think we're in the season of sports, right? Yeah, because I had this class scheduled for an in-person for tomorrow night, and so many people were like, I want to be there, but we have this commitment and that commitment. So so I'm going to do it for Monday night, and then we'll have this to record. And if you want to share this with anyone that you know that is a mama of teens or tweens, or even grandmas raising their young ones, right? Their grandchildren. So any mama, and I'm going to focus on girls, but this could go for boys too, because boys and girls both have hormones, and I think our teens are being, I don't know, are they being targeted? Yeah, it's all how we perceive it, because it's just the food industry, the beauty care industry is both ways. It's male and female. So this could go both ways. I'm going to focus on girls because I have girls tonight. So I'm Sarah Stutzman. I am a platinum brand partner with Young Living, and I have been using oils for a little over 7 years. We have 3 girls, and the reason we started using oils was because my youngest daughter just was not sleeping well, and I was searching for answers. We were using other brands for years, and it just wasn't working for her. That lavender wasn't working that I was buying at the health food store. So a friend of mine gave me her lavender from Young Living, and it worked. And I was like, what is this? And so I dove into therapeutic grade oils, and it's a whole new world. You can smell the difference and you can see the results. And so tonight we're going to talk about how we can support our young girls and our young boys too. You can take this and use these same principles if you have young boys. Because we need to protect our children. We need to protect their reproductive health. We need to protect them from the things that we went through, right? Going through puberty. It wasn't fun. So let me share my screen with you, and we'll get started. Let's see here. And I made this fun because I was like, hey, it's like teen girls. Let's make it fun. Fun colors for tonight. So let's upgrade our teens. And this starts earlier than puberty. Even if you have young girls and boys now, like start as soon as you can, because compounding effects of the products that we're using in our home, the food that we're eating. It's, it compounds over the years. And so start as soon as you can, even if you have babies, even if you are pregnant, even if toddlers, wherever you are, start now. Don't wait until the teen years. So let's talk puberty. Who taught you? You can comment in the comment box. Who taught you about puberty? Did your mom sit you down, or did you learn in 4th grade when they split the girls and the boys up and you learned about puberty? See you laughing, Janelle. That's how I learned. Yes. My mom didn't teach me about puberty. We had conversations, but I remember getting that little box. Like, they split us up in 4th grade, and we could fill out this little postcard and get a little period box. And I remember getting it in the mail and I hid it under my bed. I was so embarrassed, but I would get it out when I would lock my door and I'd look at all the stuff, the tampons and the pads, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what is this stuff? But I was embarrassed to talk to my mom about this. She didn't really have that open conversation. It was just kind of it was just known, you got your period. So Janelle, you said no one talked to you about it at school, and then your mom, Janelle. Okay. Yeah, you didn't know what ovulation meant. I know, right? I didn't either. I would have ovulation pain, and my mom took me to the doctor and we had conversations, but I didn't know what ovulation meant. I didn't know what those words meant, right? So, nothing bad against my mom, right? She was an amazing mom, but I just think it's just an awkward conversation, and it's one that we don't have with our children, and that we need to start having with our children, because they're going to learn at some point what sex is. They're going to learn what, all of the things are. And if it's not going to be from you, it's going to be by their friends. And so let's tell them what things are. I remember Grace getting off the bus and she said, what did she say? Something about zits. Zits are boobs. And I said, no, that's tits. And we don't say that word. There was just and I was just thankful that we had this conversation. So let's talk about, when does their period begin? When does puberty, the signs of puberty? Usually around 8 to 10. So my youngest is 8. And she's like, ooh, I stink. I think I need deodorant. I'm noticing body hair. I don't remember this on myself. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I'm like, when did all this begin? I have no clue. So I'm relearning this with my girls. And it's just good to have that open conversation. So here are the signs. So breast buds, body hair, body odor, and growing at a rapid rate. And they might even complain of growing pains. Because their growth platelets are growing at a rapid rate. And so growing pains are a normal thing. That actually is a thing. And we can support them with oils like Panaway or Deep Relief or the CBD rub, because it is painful growing. So 8 to 10 is normally when these signs begin. That's not uncommon, right? So how do we make that transition? How do we help her, right? Help her or him too. Tonight I'm focusing on girls, but help them choose deodorant that is a safer option, and body care products without synthetic fragrances. That is key, without synthetic fragrances and ingredients. Now, we have a mix. Deodorant is a tough one. Growing up, I had to use the clinical, because my body was so toxic from the chemicals crap that I was putting on my body. And just the food that I was eating, I'm product of the 80s and 90s. So I had both things coming at me. I had painful, horrible periods that I would wake up in the middle of the night crying for my mom as a 16-year-old. I would track my period and use ibuprofen the week before, because I knew it was going to be so super painful. I didn't know what childbirth felt like then, but looking back, I was like, yeah, that felt like labor pains, because it was that painful. We don't have to do that. Our girls do not have to live through that. because we don't have to have all the synthetic fragrances. We don't have to have those horrible ingredients that are going to cause estrogen dominance. Now, some of my girls like the Young Living deodorant, but I also buy one that's called, oh my word, it'll come to me. It will come to me and I will put it in the comments. If I don't, I will let you guys know what it is. But it's one, is it Everclear? Everclean. I've tried Schmidt's, I've tried all the deodorants, and some of them give me rashes, some of them don't work. But another one that works really well is the, it's a salt crystal, and I'll use that. That helps with bacteria. So the salt helps keep the bacteria down. So I'll layer with a salt crystal, and those last forever. You can get those at Walmart. You can get them on Amazon, health food store. They're like $6, and you wet them and you just put it under your arm. So that might be good for your teen girls or your tweens that are just starting, even if they're like 8, like a salt crystal, just put it under their arm. It burns a little after shaving. So if you have like an 8-year-old, they're not shaving yet, just let them use that. And it'll just help with that bacteria. This series is an absolute amazing investment. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk about tonight, I've actually learned through Body Talk Basics, going back and doing this with my girls. Megan is an incredible instructor. She reached out to me and was like, hey, can I send my new resource to you, and you kind of look over it, review it, do it with your girls, because I know you're really into hormone health and you have girls. And I was like, absolutely. So it's bodytalkbasics.com. If you follow her, Body Talk Basics, on Instagram, she has a ton of information on there. But the series goes through, it's like she has a teachable, so you watch videos, and then they can fill out a workbook. So my oldest daughter did this for homeschool. So it was like her health class. You don't necessarily need to do the workbooks, but you can. But I love the videos. It really explains what's happening in the body, all the, the signs. And of course, we did this with all my girls. And my oldest was a little bit more like hesitant, and she was embarrassed. And then my middle child and my youngest, they're like asking all the questions, and they're like, when are we doing that class again? Like, they loved it. So if you can do this when they're younger, and not so embarrassed, and really open that conversation, start it then. So like I said, Sawyer was 7 when we started, and now she's 8, and she's starting to have like some body odor and a little bit of, little hair in her armpits, not much, but I'm noticing, some changes. So definitely a great investment to do this together and open that conversation, so they don't have to listen to a teacher at school teach them about puberty. You get to teach them about puberty. All right, so what is happening in their body? So the glands in the brain are responsible for waking up the ovaries, so that you have an endocrine system. So supporting that endocrine system is so important, starting from little on up, okay, so that it works properly. Everyone has an endocrine system. So everyone's born with an endocrine system, boys and girls. But as they start to come into maturation, those glands start to signal, and they start talking to each other, and they start to wake up the ovaries by releasing hormones. The ovaries will start producing estrogen then. It's like, hey, wake up. This is when you will see signs of puberty in the form of hair, widening of the hips, body hair, breast buds, and odor. Okay, and this happens for around 4 years before they actually get their period. So if it starts at 8, you might, expect that her period to come around like 12, 13. Sometimes it's older or younger. Sometimes it can be younger if diet and, body care products that have a lot of xenoestrogens in them, or food that has, meat that has hormones in, milk that has hormones in, it could be a lot earlier. And so that's why having clean products and really good food sources is important for our girls. And at any time, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, because I can go back and answer them. So acne, mood swings, and painful periods are common. They are common. How many of you have them? right? Or maybe you even still have them, right? They're common, but they're not normal. We're told as a woman that this is just what it's like being a woman, right? And maybe your mom told you that this is what it's like. Just take an ibuprofen or double up on your pad, wear a tampon and a pad. You know, this is normal. It's not. It's not. So what do we do for that, right? So what to look for, because this, I had to learn this because I remember getting my period at the age of 12 on my 12th birthday. My dad's amazing. He had 2 girls and I was the oldest, and he went and he got me pads. He bought me pads because we didn't have any in the house. But I don't remember what that first period was like, but I do remember when my oldest got it, and looking back, I was like, that was your period. Like, it's dark brown. It's very irregular. She's like, Mom, what is this in my underwear? And I was like, I don't. She's like, maybe I didn't wipe right. And I was like, well, maybe you didn't. Did you not wipe right? I was like, you know, we were having this conversation, and I was just like, well, she was like 11 and I didn't think anything of it. And then later when she was 12, she was like, yeah, I had my period. And I was like, oh my word, she didn't tell me, because she was embarrassed and she didn't want me telling other people. She's probably right, embarrassed that I'm telling y'all right now. But I think it's important to have this conversation because, you know, it depends on the personality of your daughter. They may tell you, they may not, but that first period, she's like, what is this? And I didn't know. She didn't know. And I was like, because it seriously looked like poop. It looked like poop. And I was like, maybe you just didn't wipe right. I'm getting embarrassed talking about this, but like, I think we need to be like, we need to look for those signs. So what are the signs of, you know, of puberty, like the breast buds, the odor, the body hair, like those things, and then start to calculate like, okay, what's the timeline? Because maybe it will be 11, maybe it will be 12. But that's the first period. And it's very irregular. So it might come like every other month, but it's not going to be like clockwork until, you know, maybe 6 months in. So if they have painful periods, if they have bloating, acne, headaches, mood swings, that is not normal. These are check engine signs from the body asking for help. Okay. And so what do we do then? Let me check this next slide. I hope I have it on here. Okay. So this is what the root cause is, right? So the menstrual cycle. Okay. And this is what Megan goes over in the puberty body talk basics with the girls and with you. So you listen to this together. And like, I'm learning. I know this stuff, but I'm constantly learning. So the menstrual phase is very, it's high estrogen in the follicular phase. Okay. So when the follicle is getting the egg ready, right, you have higher estrogen. Then you have that luteinizing hormone that says, okay, release the egg. So estrogen's high, that luteinizing hormone is high. And then once the egg is dispersed, right, then progesterone comes in, because progesterone is important for keeping that egg healthy and safe for reproduction. So if it were to be fertilized, you need to have higher progesterone, right? Then estrogen drops. Estrogen is I would say it's like our silly sister. Like, think about when you are, you know, your menstrual, your period's over and you feel really creative. And we're going to get into this in just a second, but you feel creative, you feel happy, you feel energetic, you feel like just, I don't know, kind of giddy in a way, right? And then it drops off. When you ovulate, right, estrogen kind of drops off, progesterone comes up. Progesterone is still like a happy hormone, but it's more of that like protective mama, like, okay, now I need to go in protection mode, right? Into nesting. And you're a little bit more analytical, you think through things, you're not as like just free spirited, right? And then those progesterone and estrogen just like plummet right before your period. And that's where you might get like the acne, the heavy cramping, the mood swings, headaches. Some of the teen girls say they get headaches right before their period. And that's where you have that plummet of hormones. And so we're on a roller coaster, right? And we need to prepare for this. And we need to talk our talk with our girls about this. So heavy cramping, if it's like cramping is normal because that lining has to flush out. So some cramping is normal, but if it's really heavy where it's excruciating pain, it's from overproduction of prostaglandins. And those prostaglandins can actually, they can be, if there's too many, they can go into like the intestinal lining. And that's where you have a lot of like, maybe more like diarrhea. And so everything's kind of crazy down there, right? And so it's from an imbalance of hormones, mostly too much estrogen, from blood sugar imbalances or xenoestrogens. So blood sugar, if the diet is too high in carbohydrates and sugars, even if it's healthy carbohydrates, like let's say granola bars, you know, my girls, they crave like bread. If I have bread in the house, or if I have granola bars or homemade granola, that's the first thing they go to. And I just really have to say, no, you need protein first. Let's do protein first rather than just yogurt and toast for breakfast. I try to balance that out. Xenoestrogens. So those come from fragrances that are synthetic fragrances, laundry detergent, dish soap, candles, anything that has a fragrance normally has man-made chemicals that act like estrogens. And I spelled that wrong. Estrogens, okay? And they're just synthetic estrogens that attach to the estrogen receptor site, and it creates this imbalance. Acne. This can be an overabundance of acne is normally due to hormone imbalance and diet. If you have like one or two, that's normal. But if it's more of like along the jawline, down to the neck, that could be a sign of improper liver function, gut health, and increased estrogen, where the liver just can't keep up, and the liver can't clear. And so estrogen keeps, flowing through the bloodstream. Making sure that your daughter is drinking enough water, going to the bathroom, sweating. And when I say going to the bathroom, urinating and pooping to clear that estrogen, and sweating too. Mood swings. These are phases of hormones that can lead to the phases of hormone, fluctuation. We're on this like roller coaster, right? Can lead to emotional changes, right? So like I said, you're going to feel like, as women, think about your own cycle, right? And I want you to map this out and think about how you feel. So when your period is over, right? And leading up to ovulation, you're just more happier, lighter feeling, creative. And then it peaks, right? And then as it dips, the emotions change. And so that is normal. But if it's an extreme, then it could be too much estrogen or too much progesterone, or the body's just trying to level itself out. Think about this. She's going into puberty, right? She's going into maturation. She's getting her period. Hormones are changing. So the body has to level itself out, and this might take a little while. So have that conversation with her of like, this is okay. This happens. Maybe journaling or doing something creative might help her. Getting out and exercising, which we're going to talk about routines, which is important. So listen to your body, help her listen to her body, and work with it. Create rhythms and routines for each season of her cycle. So I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but we can think about our cycle as seasonal, okay? So let me get to the right spot here. Okay, so pre-ovulation, that's just when you come out of your period. I'm going to start there, right? Because it's a cycle. So before you ovulate, that follicular phase, you're going to feel renewed, inspirational, vitality, creation. Think about spring. It's like this rebirth, this reawakening, and that's what your body is doing. That's what you're feeling. That's what your hormones are doing. Because when you slough off all that lining, right, it is shedding the old. Okay, we're going to come back to that. And it's rebirth. It's renewing. And we need to work with that as instead of looking at like, oh my gosh, I got my period again. It's such a pain in the butt. I just crave chocolate. I don't want to do anything. Like, instead of looking at it as a negative, look at it as a positive. Like, okay, we're getting rid of the old. It's something to when we can bring in new. Maybe it's something, learning something new, maybe helping her learn something new, embracing that season of creativity. And then think of summer as like when you ovulate, you're like peak, right? Think of like all the things that are in season in the summer. Okay. That is when fertility is high, right? And again, you have more creativity during this season. You're very much more sensual and more touchy feely. Okay. So she might be more needy and need more touch, hugs, more condolence, more, sitting by her bed, have conversation, and journaling too. So manifestation, they're going to be more creative, talkative, right? So sit with that. And then you have the autumn phase, premenstrual. So right before, this will be the luteal phase, right? After ovulation, the egg gets released into the fallopian tubes and then down into the uterus, and they're more drawn inward. Okay, not as high energy. Like I said, more analytical thinking, questioning. Right? Think about your own cycle during this time. And then comes the time when you release that lining. Okay. This should be a time of rest. You should not be very forceful with your exercise, maybe more yoga, walking, making sure you're nourishing yourself, making sure you're nourishing her. And when I say you and her, if you don't have teen girls yet, believe me, that cycle is going to sink. And like I have to ask my daughter, did you get your period? Because it used to be when I was ovulating, she would get her period. So then I knew, like, I wouldn't have to track my days. I would like, okay, I'm going to get mine in just like 14 days, but it just starts to sink, right? And then you get your period together. And so you do this together, right? Making sure you have all the supplies. Like I prefer reusable pads. So I get ones that I, wash out. I just prefer them because then I don't have those toxins. I don't know. I just feel like I have less cramping. My daughter's not there yet. So we're buying pads. So making sure everything is stocked up, and having that conversation. Do you need anything? Are you going to get your period? Having that conversation. So listen, rest, reading books, and shedding the old. Okay. Looking, okay, I don't like this part of, not my part of my life, but like, let me think about this. But like, I don't like doing this. I'm going to do this instead. But like more of a reflection period, if that makes sense, right? So again, more journaling here. We are ups and downs. So creating rhythms is really important. And this is something I'm learning and I'm trying to teach my daughter, because I never knew we were like seasons. And I just knew, like, I just thought we just push through and you get your period and it's time to go swimming. You just plug it up and you go swimming and you just continue on your routine. But I never liked using tampons. So maybe that season is just like, okay, we're not going to go swimming. We're going to do this instead. It was just, using tampons was really awkward. That was really, really awkward. As my mom tried to like coach me on how to use a tampon, I'm like, this is weird. And I never really liked them. So if your daughter is like, no, I'm not using this, then have other activities. If it's summertime, then okay, we're going to do this instead. So it's okay to, work with those seasons and cycles of life. Okay. Okay. So self-care, talking about seasons. Self-care isn't selfish. When you're talking about the seasons of life and femininity, we need to do these things on a regular basis. Eat for nutrition. Okay, making sure they're getting enough protein. If they have too many carbs and sugars, that insulin and the blood sugar is just spiking, and that creates estrogen dominance. that creates estrogen, too much estrogen. And this goes for our men too. I want to point that out, and for our boys. If men or even boys going into puberty have too much of a high glycemic diet, meaning too much carbs and sugar, their body is going to transfer testosterone into estrogen. Okay. And they're going to have more of an estrogenic look, personality. They're going to be real mild tempered. They might even have breasts too. Okay. So we want to make sure we're eating for nutrition. So a balance of protein, okay, with good carbohydrates. Okay. So fruits, even like, I would say a little bit of sourdough bread, whole grain breads. I'm all about not eating in packages, but I know that's not optimal. Try your best. Okay. Moving regularly. So today we went out and we rollerbladed at the park. So, rollerblading, whatever they like to do, riding bike, climbing trees, just getting them out from behind the screens as much as possible. Moving. It could be yoga, it could be stretching, just getting them to do what they like to do. I don't like to put the word exercise there because I feel like that has a negative connotation with girls. No, we're eating for nutrition. We're eating to fuel our body. We're moving because God gave us amazing bodies that move, and we're going to move them. And another thing, move regularly. Make sure they're going to the bathroom, which we talked about earlier. Make sure that they are eliminating, they're pooping once or twice a day so that estrogen and all those metabolites can leave the body and they don't cycle back through. So when they're eating for nutrition and they're drinking enough water, they're getting enough protein, carbohydrates, and fats, they will go to the bathroom regularly. Okay. And then choose better products. Okay. So these three things are not selfish. And what does choose better products look like? I'm skipping ahead here. We'll get to that. So here are some simple remedies. For just that low-hanging fruit, right? So make sure you address those three things prior to this. Eat for nutrition, move regularly, choose better products, right? But if you do still have some of that low-hanging fruit where they are, hormones are changing and their body is getting used to this, them coming into womanhood, here's what we can do for cramps. Dragon Thyme. Dragon Thyme was specifically formulated for teen girls because it has a little bit of clary sage in it, but it also has like fennel to help with digestion, has peppermint in it to help with digestion, but clary sage adds a little bit of estrogen. So that way, when, they get their period, it's not just plummeting, right? And so if they have headaches, Dragon Thyme might be a good one to use right before they get their period. If they have, if you know that they start to get headaches or cramping that week before, put it on their feet. You can put it in some Epsom salts in the bath, let them soak in the bath, and help them, help those hormones balance correctly. Panaway, I love Panaway. If I ever get any discomfort in my abdomen or lower back, I mix it with some coconut oil and I rub it on my abdomen and lower back. If you use moist, warm heat, take a towel and warm it, wet it with some warm water and put it on the abdomen. It's going to be like an icy hot, so it might feel like it's burning a little bit. You could actually put a heating pad and then, or even like the towel and then a heating pad on top if you want to, just to help with any cramping. Endoflex all the time. Endoflex you can use in preteen years. So I know mamas that use it for their toddlers to help them sleep because they're not sleeping well. Because your endocrine system helps with so many things more than just sex hormones, but it helps with sleep, it helps with metabolism. And so Endoflex will help with all those things. You can dilute it, and put it in a little roller bottle for her, roll it on the neck, liver, feet, over the adrenal glands, just have her put it on and it will help. The body will know how to use these oils. So it doesn't matter where she puts it on, just tell her to put it on and the body will know how to use it, because that would help just help regulate those hormones all month long, right? And help her get adjusted. CBD muscle rub, again, helps with cramping. I love that on my lower abdomen and back. Castor oil packs, if you're not familiar with castor oil helps release toxins from the body. You put it on a wool, like wool felt pad, and then you put it right over any area. So you can put it over the ovaries, you can put it over the abdomen, over the back, and then some people wrap it with plastic wrap. I don't really like that. So I'll just get one of those Ace bandages that stick, wrap it, and then put a heating pad on top. So that could be something for your girls or for yourself. So you do the castor oil pack and then heating pad. So research castor oil packs. And then magnesium spray. So Epsom salts is magnesium, but when you have your period, you don't want to really soak in the bathtub, right? But magnesium spray, you can spray right on the abdomen and it helps with cramping. Okay. Acne, have her drink sulfurzyme or take it in capsules. Sulfurzyme helps with liver detoxification. It is a precursor to glutathione, which is the master antioxidant in our body to help our liver detoxify. So that would kind of be getting to the root cause to help the body detox. Tea tree or Melrose and Copaiba right on the acne is helpful too. Try not to pop it. I'm a popper. But just try to, put that on there and keep it on there. And then emotions. Oh my word, there's so many oils to use for emotions. What do you love to use for emotions? When you are feeling emotional throughout your cycle, let me know. But find one that works for her that she loves. But here's just a few: stress away, lavender, peace and calming, tangerine, orange and lemon. Any of the citrus oils are really uplifting. You can make a roller bottle for her. You can encourage her to put it in the diffuser. And maybe she uses these oils in different phases of her cycle too. I know my oldest loves Sacred Mountain. That's one that she is drawn to. So find one that she loves and encourage her to use that when she's feeling a little more emotional. Okay, so let's do better, mamas. Let's talk about those products that we can use. She does not have to experience womanhood this way, or the way that we have experienced it, right? So our girls are a target, if we want to think that way. I don't know. I think they are. When you go to Target and you see these like unicorn colored bath bombs and all the different scents that just my eyes are drawn to it, and I'm like, ooh, right? They're pretty. They're just like, they draw you in because they're girly, right? They are a target for a chemical filled industry, right? So look at these things, right? Look at those bath bombs. Like, who wouldn't want to use them? I'm like drawn to them. They're beautiful. Unicorn fruit body lotion, right? Unicorn fruit. Never knew there was such a thing. Cherry Rush body spray. And then this one's cotton candy. I mean, I loved Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret. I think I came out of my room and I feel like Linus. Is it Linus in the Peanuts, where he always has this like thing around him, right? Like, but it was a stink that's always around him. But I felt like I would leave my room and I had this cloud of perfume around me, and my mom would be like, woo, where are you going tonight? And it was just like, it was the body spray, it was the lotion, it was the exclamation perfume. I mean, it was everything. So the average teen uses 17 personal care products in a day. That's compounding. And that's teens. So that's boys and girls. Have you ever smelled a teenage boy going out on the town? I remember some of my boyfriends, like, whew, like all the cologne, right? It doesn't have to be that way, right? Not over the counter stuff. Tell me, what was your favorite perfume growing up? Mine was exclamation. I had another one too. I forget what it was, but anyway, I just know Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret were my favorites. All right, pair that with processed sugar and processed food. All right, no judgment here. No judgment. I grew up on this stuff. I fed my girls this stuff. It sometimes comes into our home, but it is a battle with the food. The products we have gotten out, but the food sometimes creeps in. Okay. But even organic, like healthy granola bars, my girls will down an entire box in one day. Like they're like, can I have another one? Because it's an addiction. Can I have another one? Can I have another one? Because it's sugar. If it's in the house, they're just like, I want it, right? Even crackers, cupcakes. I mean, you name it. 61% of our grocery store is processed food. That's a lot. And so we need to just really be mindful of this. So our girls are being set up for reproductive failure, and our boys are too, right? Because what does this do? Processed foods that are high in carbohydrates, high in sugars, that elevates blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar releases insulin. Insulin's a hormone. And then when that happens, you have high estrogen levels, and that sets you up for PCOS, okay, polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? And so you have that, so the chemicals, and then you have the processed food, right? We need to do better, okay? We need to do better. And I'll give you a solution to that at the end. So we can have simple yet girly. Our girls can have still have girly. You can still have girly, right? And you can do this if you have boys too. They might not want bath bombs, maybe when they're little, but not teenagers. But you can make a cologne instead of a perfume, right? You can make a face wash for them. That's a little more masculine. So face wash. And I will, you can screenshot this if you want to, but I can email this to you too. If you registered for this class, I can email this to you. Face wash is really simple. It's just like making hand soap. If you've ever made hand soap, it's the same steps. It's a 1/4 cup of Castile soap in a foaming hand soap dispenser. You're just going to use oils that are good for the skin. So I like tea tree because it helps with blemishes and helps with impurities, you know, for teen skin and even my skin too. So tea tree, either blue cypress, frankincense, or elemi. Elemi is known as the poor man's frankincense. It's in the same, you know, family as frankincense, but it's a little bit more reasonable. And then 5 drops of orange. Add that all to a foaming hand soap dispenser with some water. You can add some sweet almond oil or rose hip seed oil for some moisture if you want to, and you have a face wash for your girls. The other thing that I love is Young Living's Orange Blossom Face Wash. You can just use a little bit of that in a foaming hand soap dispenser. It lasts forever. You can dilute it and you can use that too. That was actually created for oily skin and for teens and preteens. So there's that one. And then perfume. Let's talk a little bit about perfume. Do you guys make perfume? Anyone? I've made it. My girls like to make it. They like to make roller bottles and all kinds of stuff. I just grab my oils off the shelf and I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this for perfume. So just using oils in general is a great perfume. But if you want to get fancy, let me see if I have them here. Amazon has these little bottles. Kind of like a little 5-pack. It's like they're tiny too, which I like because my girls will make perfumes and roller bottles and then they kind of sit and they don't do anything with it. I think it's more of the idea of making it rather than using it. So if you get little like 3 ml roller bottles or these little tiny, I think that, I don't know what size they are, but they're little perfume bottles. You're not going to use as much oil and as much product. And then they can see if they like it, you know, do I like this smell? If not, they use it for a little bit and then you can just dump it and not feel bad about it. And they can make a new one, right? So top notes are the first fragrance. They fade fast. So it's like, I've heard it like this. They're like teenage girls that go, like at a birthday party, right? So you open the bottle, you spray it on or whatever, and it's the first smell you smell. There are those molecules that are fast moving molecules. Citrus, lavender, peppermint, clary sage, rosemary, those are those fast moving molecules. They dissipate very quickly, but it's the first thing you smell. So that's a top note. So that's about 30 to 60% of your perfume. So top and middle notes have the most oil. So you could do like 5 drops of each of those, depending on your bottle, right? And then the base note could be maybe 3 drops. If you have a larger bottle, then more, right? Middle notes, those linger a little bit longer. They're the next fragrance and they harmonize with the base note. So neroli, chamomile, nutmeg, geranium, more of like the florally notes, ylang ylang and jasmine. And then your base notes are kind of like the sumo wrestlers of molecules. Those are the sesquiterpenes, okay? Those ones that last really long. So think about the thick oils. And I spelled vetiver wrong. Vetiver, cinnamon, frankincense, cedarwood, patchouli, myrrh, those really heavy, dense oils. Those last longer. So you don't need as many of that, but those are the ones you're going to smell last. And so making sure you find oils that harmonize really well together for a top, middle, and base note are important. If you're in our oily education group, I do have a teen perfume like recipes. I can email those to you as well because they give you some ideas, some like oils that blend well together. And they're cute to use for classes if you want to gather some teen girls together. And then bath bombs. This is really easy to make. I'll tell you how they're easy to make. So you mix all this stuff together and then, so it's baking soda, arrowroot powder, citric acid, Epsom salts, really simple ingredients, right? And then you don't have all those, you know, synthetic fragrances from the ones that you buy at the store. You add your own oils in. So I like lavender, some of the same ones that I add in my perfume, you know, rosemary, geranium, ylang ylang, all of those, you know, florally, but then, you know, have those base notes in them too. But if you go to Amazon and you find, has anyone made bath bombs before? No. Okay. Here's my tip. You can get the molds on Amazon that make round bath bombs. They are a bear to put together because you have to have the consistency just right. And you have the 2 halves and you push them together and you have to have them just right for them to blend together and stick and hold. Okay. What I like to do, what my girls like to do is just use half of the sphere and you just have, you know, a little half sphere bath bomb. You can find old Jello molds too. Vintage Jello molds, those work really well as well. I just say avoid the silicone molds. They get stuck in there. So what you want to do is you want to press it in the mold, a metal mold, and then it taps out really easy. And then let them dry on like a cookie sheet for a day, right? But they're fun to make and our girls love to make them. And if you put like dried lavender in, it looks cute, but it does clog up the bathtub. I'm just saying. All right, so here are some pre-mades that Young Living has. So if you're not a DIY mama, that is totally cool. If there's things you want to supplement, you know, like lip gloss, the makeup, when they start getting into makeup, like what do you do, right? Young Living has pre-mades. So lotions and body butter. The coconut lime is so yummy. The girls also love, I have luscious lemon hand, you know, body lotion over here too. They like the shampoo and conditioner, makeup. They love using my lip gloss. They're not really into using makeup. They will use my makeup from time to time when they're just kind of playing around, but they don't go out of the house with it because they just don't feel confident in it, which is great. I'm like, don't wear it if you don't want to. They have chapstick, the bath gel. They do have bath bombs. So if you don't want to make bath bombs, they do have the bath bombs, which my Sawyer absolutely loves. Nutritional supplements, because remember, nutrition is important. So like I said, sulfurzyme. If they don't like the flavor of it, then use the capsules. And then einkorn snacks. So einkorn flour is easily digestible and it's lower on the gluten index and lower on the glycemic index too. So if you have to have some snacks in the house, go with einkorn snacks like the crackers, the granola bars, the granola, and make it a treat. Not something that they have like every single day, but maybe on a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon. They have einkorn flour too, so you can make snacks with einkorn flour. We actually use Jovial brand einkorn because I use a lot of einkorn in my baking. And something called Rapadura sugar, or this is not Young Living's. I'm just giving you optional sugar options. Rapadura sugar or sucanat or coconut sugar are some great sugar swap outs too. So that doesn't spike their blood sugars. All right, so if you go to wellfolkrevival.com, you scroll all the way down to the bottom and sign up for our email list. I won't spam you. It's like 2 emails a month. You will get a nourishing snack guide. And those are some fun snacks that you can make at home, make with your children. And they are rich in protein. They are lower on the glycemic index and offer some just good nutrients for your children to start swapping out some of the pre-made packaged stuff. Because I know it's a battle, and it was for us too. And we started with boxed cereal. We got rid of boxed cereal and did like baked oatmeal or hard-boiled eggs, toast and eggs, just traditional like homemade breakfast. And that's where we started. So you all have to have a starting point and know what it is, and it works for you and your family. So I'm going to stop sharing and answer some of your questions. But yeah. I hope this was helpful for you tonight. Let me see what you guys had to say. The Axe body spray, yes. And that's okay, Lori. I know my mom looks back. She's like, I wish I wouldn't have let you do all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? We're still living and it's okay. We're here. It's all good. Know better, do better. And I'm sure he's doing better, right? He knows better now that he has a mama that's right, teaching him all this stuff. I don't remember Lemon Up, Denise. Lemon Up? No. But I remember I had really bad skin rashes on my hands, and my mom took me to the, he was a really good, what are they called? Skin doctor. There's a technical term. And he was like, and my mom told him what I was using. And he's like, that industry is going to wreck her skin. Like it's not good. And I just kept using it. Because I did. I was a teenager. Okay, Denise, you use magnesium spray for your deodorant. That's really interesting. I've never tried that. I will have to try that, and it works. Good. Okay. Oh yes, I use Noxema too to wash my face. Dermatologist. Thank you, Janine. Yes. Okay. Well, I hope this was helpful tonight, and I'm going to post this on my YouTube, and I'll share the link, and I'll email if you register for this class, I'll email all of you because I have your emails. I'll email you the link, and I'll email you the perfume blends and some of the recipes from tonight. Thank you all for joining tonight. And next week, Denise, you're on, right? You're going to be talking about vitality oils and
yes.
Yeah.
With Becky, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So make sure you join in next Monday night and get some good recipes for the summer season ahead. Thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful, blessed evening. All right. Bye.